Hey,
Hey, I'm trying to switch my audio right now. Give me 1 second.
all right, take your time. Take your time. Don't let me rush you. I decided to record this. I mean, I'm hoping, like, I forgot if I recorded the one for the adopt a block, but we should have recorded it. Um, but I think I'm gonna ask Andy to dig up both of them and put them online and send them out to the committee's email groups.
All right, mic check. Can you hear me?
Hi, Julie. Welcome. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh,
I
great.
can hear you
Thank
as
you.
well.
Great. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, here's Humberto. Hey, Humberto, thank you so much for coming.
Everyone.
Hey, hi. So I'm Anna Roblin and Chara's here. I'm the chair, Chara's the vice chair of this committee. And so glad that you came.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we were able to make this work. We've met, but I will allow my friend colleague Julie to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Umberto, nice to see you again.
Yeah.
I'm Julie Lawhorn, and I work with Umberto on DC Natives. I've been involved for a couple years, and I'm a volunteer and a board member, and I really enjoy planting pollinator gardens.
It sounds like an amazing organization. We're so happy you guys exist. Oh, here's Josh.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Hi, Josh. Welcome. Can you hear us, Josh?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, nice. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Are you
nice
with
to meet
DC, are you with DC Natives as well?
Yeah, I'm a co-chair of the board of directors.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you guys
Mhm.
so much for coming.
No
It's
problem.
such a valuable thing.
Hey Josh, good to see you.
Hey, Roberto.
I will say
So I
there's something
guess we
funny
should
about.
just, oh, go
Sorry, go
ahead, sir.
ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I guess we should wait just like maybe 3 more minutes till like 7:20, just to make sure, so we don't start without somebody if they're on their way.
Mhm. And we didn't really get into kind of much detail via email, but what were you hoping we would get into? How much time were you hoping we would take up?
You guys take as much time as you want, like more is better, like do it any way you want to do it. But like, it's definitely hoping you tell us all about DC natives, and really would love to go over the lawn garden situation, like anything you have on that.
Okay, sure. We can kind of do a little sharing of DC natives, who we are, and kind of see where the conversation takes us.
Oh yeah, excellent. Is this, can you guys hear the music? That's background music here. Is it disturbing or is it okay?
Nope, can't hear it.
You can't hear it?
No.
Okay,
I
great.
can't hear it either.
Oh, thanks, Char. Char, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, so I am Char McCray. Hold on, I realize I'm gonna go off camera in a second, but oh no, you can't see me. Hold on. It's that weird camera thing. Okay, hold on. Let me turn the light on. Did that work? Okay, all right. All right. Hey everyone, so I'm Char McCray. I am the ANC Commissioner for 506 Trinidad Carver Lincoln. And definitely excited to hear about DC natives, figure out kind of how we can kind of co-collaborate with our Trash and Beautification Committee, or at least give residents information on how to reach you guys.
Cool.
You can go ahead and start, you guys.
And share with the two of you.
I think I should put in my earbuds because I can't hear too well. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Would you like us to start a conversation with the five of us here?
I can't hear a thing. Sorry, could you let me put in my earbuds? What did you say, Josh?
Did you
I
want to see us
mean,
start with a conversation with the five of us here, or wait to see if any other?
yeah, I think so. Like very often, unfortunately, not a lot of people show up for our meetings. So I think so, yeah. But this will be recorded. It's being recorded. So everybody will be able to hear it.
Okay. Well, that'll also give us a little bit of an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper when we're thinking about the kind of community garden idea in Trinidad and how to explore that kind of opportunity to have more native pollinator plants in the neighborhood. All right. Yeah, Josh, did you have something to add?
Oh, I was just gonna, do we want to go back and do introductions, or did you want us to kind of just start talking about DC natives and our history?
Oh, we should do introductions, I guess. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Go right ahead, everybody.
I guess since I'm already off mute, I'm Josh Byard. I am the co-chair of the board of directors for DC Natives.
And my name is Umberto Camarena. I'm a block captain with DC Native and am in charge of the Trinidad area for kind of getting neighbors connected to DC Natives, helping them think about what their garden could potentially look like and actually doing some of that planting. And we'll share a little bit more about what that looks like.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Lawhorn, and I'm on the DC Natives Board, and my role is as treasurer. And I enjoy working with block captains like Umberto. Super fun.
And I'm Anna Roblin. I'm the chair of our ANC 5D Trash and Beautification Committee.
And I am Char McCrae, and I am vice chair of the Trash and Beautification Committee and ANC commissioner for Trinidad Carpet Langston.
And since we're an intimate group, maybe Anna and Shar, you all could share a little bit about what the Trash and Beautification Committee does and kind of how often you all get together and a little bit of kind of what you are gearing up to do.
Sure, yeah. Well, we have these monthly planning meetings, the second Tuesday of every month, 7:15. And we do a lot of cleanups. We have a cleanup email chat, and then we have a beautification email chat. And our cleanup email chat has like 50 people. We do cleanups. We do quite a few cleanups. We've been doing better with that than lately than we used to. And we do it all over the commission, cleanups. And probably maybe like we try to get at least like lately we've been getting like maybe 5, 6, 7 cleanups a month. And in our beautification group, we have several projects. We have this new project with the having like a that you all know about and you all are going to be working with. Thank you so much. To do like a miniature community garden or something of that nature, like on people's lawns, homeowners' lawns between the sidewalk and the street. We also have plans to do a food forest at the Trinidad Rec Center, and we're considering doing either a community garden or a food forest at Joe Cole Rec Center. But we are lagging on those plans because our fearless leader, Josh Singer, he was the DPR, Department of Parks and Recs community garden person, has not had the time really to help us. But that's like one of my dearest plans to do those. And we also do tree walks. We with urban forestry, Jabari Brew from Urban Forestry has really been amazing. Like we've gone on many tree walks where we walk down the streets of an area and figure out which trees need to be replaced and a new one planted, and then where we should plant any new trees. Char, did I forget anything? And you're welcome to add something, Char.
No, that actually hit the nail on the head. I was just going to say, if you are interested in joining any of these events, you can check out the ANC5D.org, and I'll drop this in the chat. You can join, like if you go to our page, to the overall ANC page, you can go to committees, and you can go to the Trash and Beautification Committee, and you will see kind of a list of kind of how to sign up if you're not already in contact with us, as well as the calendar for the cleanup. So all of that will be represented on that page. So feel free to definitely check that out, but I'll drop the link in the chat. But it's ANC5D.org.
Thanks so much, Char. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, and our oh, sorry. Our website is in it's just being created. We're sort of like switched to Wix. So like, and we're not, it's not a full website yet. Like we don't have the beautification part uh, uh, on the committee page yet, but it'll get there soon. Yeah.
Great, thanks for that context. It's helpful to kind of know what the group is working on. I'll share a little bit about DC natives, and Julie and Josh, feel free to jump in and complement anything along the way. But just to give kind of a general overview, DC Natives is a nonprofit of 501c3 that is entirely volunteer run, from the board of directors, the executive director, down to the block captains. I think it's a really special and not so common thing for an organization to be entirely driven by the volunteer time of people who really believe in its mission. And so the idea of DC Natives is to help neighbors in DC really connect with native pollinator gardens. And that means that anybody that might be interested in having a native pollinator garden reaches out to DC Natives, and we really support them along the way of being able to do just that. And so the idea is that we help rewild some of DC to create a native pollinator pathway through the city if there's going to be pollinators that are going to be going through the city, or for native residents of the city if we have some insects and critters that just live in DC permanently, to give them plenty of homes to be able to inhabit. And so the organization started in 2017. Thorne Rankin is the executive director, and started it with a couple of other DC residents, Miss Ann Miller and Miss Peaches, in primarily Ward 7 and 8, where they saw that there was an interest in folks to do some gardening work, and the just also community benefits of being able to bring people together through gardening. And so that effort really started back then in 2017 and has grown to the extent that we've now planted over 400 gardens throughout the city. There are specific wards that DC Natives is interested in, which are wards 7 and 8, but we work throughout the city. And like I said, really through the work of the block captains and volunteer board members and ambassadors who support anybody that might be interested in planting a garden to really understand. I got connected through the organization about a year and a half ago, because I moved into a house here in Trinidad and knew that I wanted to do something with our limited green space, and really didn't know where to start, and saw that this opportunity was something that was available to folks. And it really felt too good to be true, of an organization that helps you plan, understand native pollinator plants, actually buys the plants for you and supports you in the planting process. I feel like it just felt too good to be true, but it was actually good and true. And we were able to install our garden right in that sweet spot that you're talking about, Anna, because we have limited space in our house that's kind of between the sidewalk and the street. And I'll say that in the experience of having my own garden, now having helped several other neighbors install their own gardens, there's so many benefits, yes, to the land of, we are having plants that are friendly to insects and birds and bees and butterflies in the neighborhood. And I think that's really important. And there's also kind of this huge social component to it that for me is also equally as important, where, in the mornings I'm out in the garden watering the plants, and I get to chit chat with neighbors that are going to work or taking their kids to school, or somebody that I haven't seen in a bit. And it's just a really great way of sparking conversations, of meeting neighbors, of being outdoors, especially as somebody that spends kind of the vast majority of my day in this very space. It's nice to leave my house and to be in touch with nature and in touch with neighbors. And then I'll also say that I had this really kind of sweet and lovely experience where I helped a neighbor plant their garden. It was a whole household of folks. It was kind of this condo building. And we did planting this spring. The gardener who reached out to us was think in her 7th month of pregnancy. And then, this fall I was walking through the neighborhood and she was outside working on her garden. And I was able to see her and be like, oh my God, your garden is so great. How's your baby doing? And it's all this like really great, nice interaction that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't because of DC natives and this opportunity to really be able to connect with the earth and with neighbors. So that's a little bit about kind of a snapshot of DC natives, and kind of before getting into the nitty gritty of kind of the specific process that we follow, I'll kind of invite Julie and Josh to add any additional context to this. Or not.
Everything you said is correct, Umberto. And I mean, what I like about working with DC natives is that it makes nature accessible to people who may not have access to, driving a couple of miles or driving out to Shenandoah or places where you can be, fully immersed in nature, but it's right there in your front yard. So it's unavoidable from not only the person who owns the home, but also people that walk by. It's right there where people can see the butterflies and the bees, and also take an interest in native plants because they are all native to, the East Coast or Northeast. And I think since DC Natives has started, they've installed about almost 500,000 native plants. So we keep trying as best as we can to, like Umberto said, rewild DC, and hopefully it gives some people some peace and solace to see our gardens as they pass by. I love that it helps us build community as far as connecting with each other and starting conversations in a place of beauty rather than maybe a place that's not so beautiful, especially in these times. But everything you said, Umberto, is exactly why I work with DC natives.
So to describe a little bit of what our process looks like, I'll kind of just give kind of a general rundown of what the experience is like for somebody that is interested in the garden. And then here, Julie and Josh, if I miss anything, do jump in. But it all starts with somebody filling out an interest form, kind of a Google form that allows them to sign up for an info session where we explain all about DC natives and the process and how it works. Folks attend this session, and after that, if they feel like they are a good fit for the program and it's a good time for them to join, they sign up on another form, and a block captain in their area will reach out. So I think one of the nice things about DC natives is that we really try to have block captains by areas that are connected to neighbors in those areas. And as DC natives has continued to expand its volunteer base, that has really allowed us to be a lot more hyper local in the way that we're responsive to gardeners who are interested. And so, for example, if a neighbor in Trinidad is interested in a garden, they'll fill out this form, and then I'll reach out to them to schedule a time to come out to their home for what we call a garden site visit. And that's one of the early steps to the process, where a block captain will go to a neighbor's home. This is after they've attended the info session, so they have a little bit more context as to how DC Native operates. And what we'll do is we will help them assess their area. So what is your plan for where you want your garden? We take a look at the conditions of the garden. What is the sunlight that it gets? Making sure that it has kind of 6 hours at least of sunlight through the day so that the plants could really thrive. We take a look at their soil, see what kind of soil they have, if it needs any kind of prep ahead of time. We help them kind of go through a planning process of what is the state of your garden today and where does it need to be in order for us to be able to get it ready for planting. So sometimes that means weeding, sometimes that means taking out bush that might exist, or taking out plants that aren't native pollinator plants that they want to replace with native pollinator plants. And also kind of make sure that they're calling Miss Utility so that they have their space marked, and that when we are operating there, they know kind of where the different water lines and anything that might be sensitive, so that when we're ready to plant, we're making sure that we're being aware and sensitive to the spaces. We also check for water connection to make sure that they have access to water, and that's kind of a consideration when we're thinking about the this kind of beautification project with the Trash and Beautification group of, what are the conditions of the gardens that we're thinking of? Do they have the right soil conditions? Do they have the right sunlight access? Do they have water access, which is really important, particularly in the first couple years of the new plant's life cycle. It's really important that they have access to consistent waterings to make sure that they thrive. And so those are the things that we explore with the gardeners during the site visit to make sure that they have kind of awareness of what needs to happen in their garden, a plan of action for how to prepare their garden. And then the most exciting thing that happens in this site visit is that we have a flower menu that we share with the gardeners, where the flower menu shares all of the native pollinator plants that we have access to for planting in the gardens. And it's not every native pollinator plant available to the DC area. It's really a selection of the plants that we have access to that we think are kind of good, hardy plants for the area, that are mostly beginner friendly for gardeners so that they have a good chance of flourishing. And we have kind of the rules of three is what we call them, considerations for whenever we have gardens, trying to buy at least 3 of the same kind of plants so that the native pollinators have plenty of food options to choose from when they're stopping by your garden. Planting for all 3 seasons so that we see things in bloom, not just in the summertime or not just in the spring, but really kind of spring, summer, and fall. There's always something that is blooming in the season so that native pollinators have a place to go to in your garden throughout the entire growing season. And as we go through the selection, we make sure that we're kind of measuring the space, that we're mindful of how many plants we can provide for them, and making it a good match of things that are pretty and attractive and exciting to them, and also things that are just good for the pollinators. That's everything that happens in a site visit. Josh and Julie, did I miss anything? All right.
That's great. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the
I
first
will
test.
say the plants that are on the flower menu are strategically selected based off of how well they thrive in this area, based off of multiple surveys that have been done in the region. So the things that are on the menu are, I would say, some of the hardest ones to kill. Even with improper or inconsistent watering. I mean, granted, you still need to water them pretty consistently, but the ones that are on the menu are very hard to, end the life of.
And
Do these include fruits and vegetables or mostly flowers?
Flowers and grasses.
And
We are sort of, oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to add, our focus is on residential areas. So we do this because we like to have a caretaker. So we generally do not do community gardens or churches or businesses, but we do have technical expertise. So sometimes we help, you know, there could be a scenario where we would kind of let people know like what the steps would be, or like, as an advisor, but our model is really focused on a residential home where there's someone there to take care of the plants, water them, and make sure they get weeded and stuff like that. But I'm sorry to interrupt. I think you had a question about like fruits and vegetables or plants. I missed your question.
Oh, yeah, I suspect that a lot of residents might want like more like a community garden thing with fruits and vegetables, but I'm sure many would also just want the flowers. But do you guys work with fruits and vegetables at all, or no?
We don't. Our
No.
focus is flowers and grasses.
Okay. But I think that like I'm sure we'll get some of each. So like we, if you guys, we would just but just the ANC would be working with anyone that wants fruits and vegetables, I guess.
Well, hopefully that will inspire some of the people that are getting native gardens to maybe take the initiative to start their own vegetable gardens, because they work hand in hand, the native pollinator gardens and vegetable growing. So you can't really, well, you can, it's just a lot of work to have to manually pollinate all of your vegetables. But if you plant a pollinator garden pretty close by to a vegetable garden, it's not as much work because you got unpaid help through the pollinators to do all the work of the pollination. But to answer your
Yeah,
question, go ahead.
and so like a lot of what you do is geared towards getting more pollinators into the area.
Right.
Yeah. Like how bad is the situation? Because we heard so much about how the bees are just really not doing well with that. I forgot the name of that certain chemical or whatever it was. Um, like is it a dire situation or is it like not that bad? Because I've heard just that it's like pretty bad.
Yeah, I wish I were in a better place to answer that. I don't know if Josh and Julie have more context.
You mentioned something which is a threat to the pollinators, which is pesticide use, and some of the other threats to the pollinators are include development and climate change. And so it is pretty dire. Pollinators are really kind of one of the essential parts of the food web, and for a lot of our agricultural products and a lot of our food system is really dependent on pollinators. So there's quite a bit of a reliance on pollinators to do their job so that we have food. And the increase, like I said, the increased use of pesticides, the development and climate change have really impacted what a lot of scientists are calling the insect apocalypse. And so it impacts not just bees, but other pollinators as well. There's a lot of flies and wasps and bats, birds, a lot of different kinds of pollinators, but their role in pollination is really crucial for our food system. So part of what we're doing is creating both food, like so a lot of the flowers are creating food for the pollinators and their journey and what they're doing across the country and across the planet. It's also creating habitat where they can lay their eggs and nest and live. So there's dual benefits on the kind of ecological side of our mission, in addition to what Umberto talked about, which is like the community building and the creating beauty through the flowers and stuff like that. But part of the idea, I think when I listened to Thorne and Mazan talk about kind of the genesis of the organization was that they were in a position where they just wanted to do something local. And this is a pretty hyper local and impactful way to kind of address kind of climate and community challenges. So part of the vision is creating somewhat connected pathways. So in a neighborhood, there would be multiple places where pollinators wouldn't have to travel too far to get their food, and creating that kind of abundance by going kind of block by block, community by community, and building up those pathways. So hopefully we can build that up in DC so that there's more of a pollinator community. And these pollinators, a lot of times, I'm not a science person, but they do travel quite far distances. We hear a lot about the monarch, but there's other ones that travel quite a bit of a distance as well. So hope that helps answer your question. I'm happy to send you some more links and information too if you're interested in that challenge.
No,
Josh,
that's great.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
can I ask really quickly? So speaking as someone that has allergies, when I hear pollinators, it makes me slightly nervous. Would you be able to explain kind of? I know a lot of folks in the area. I know there's a lot of non-invasive plants that were brought here, right? Just because it's the nation's capital. But like, can we speak to kind of, do pollinators increase the pollen? I know that might sound like a crazy question, but like, do pollinators increase the pollen and therefore increase kind of how people would feel when it comes to allergies? Or can you provide some possible like thoughts on that? That's one of my first questions.
Yeah, Josh, you came off mute. I'll let you start if you had something.
I was going to say the majority of the plants that we put in are low pollen producers. They're mainly nectar sources. So they have the way that they're shaped is more so that like hummingbirds and bees can go inside of the petals and get their nectar or get the pollen inside and then back their way out, helping them pollinate. So the ones that we put in are not like, I don't know, ragweed or ones that just toss pollen all over the place. They're low pollen producers, and the main goal is to provide pollen when necessary, but mainly nectar because the monarchs need nectar. Even mosquitoes need nectar as well, and a lot of the bees sometimes need nectar as well. So that's what we install is mainly nectar sources, but there are a few that do produce pollen. But from what I've gathered, it's not enough to. I mean, I'm not a scientist or medical person, but not enough to increase your already heightened allergies based off the other pollen producers in the area. Does that answer your
Okay,
question?
cool. No, it definitely does. So no, I appreciate that. And let me ask, so when it comes to kind of planting the gardens, you know, a lot of homes in the area have kind of that front yard space in the Trinidad Carver Langston area, and then they have that sidewalk, then a strip of grass, right? Is it possible for people to kind of have a site visit, plant on that direct strip in front of their home, as well as that kind of strip in between the sidewalk and the curb cut, if that makes sense? Or is this more so like closer to their home? Or can it be just kind of that in between the sidewalk and the curb cut, if that makes sense?
I think Umberto can speak to that because he's got one right at the curb. So, Umberto, you go.
Yeah, all those are possible locations for a garden. I think that the thing to consider is a couple things to consider. One is water access. Is it possible for for the resident of the household to water the plants comfortably from that location? And one of the things that we tend to do with gardeners is to recommend that they have a soaker hose that goes kind of underneath the mulch that can kind of provide a dripping of water throughout the day on a timer so that somebody doesn't necessarily have to go outside every day to water. And so that makes it difficult when it's in that strip between the sidewalk and the street because you can't really have that hookup. So what I have to do is go outside and manually water the garden, which works, but it's a different level of commitment for the gardener to actually be outside watering consistently versus you have the timer and, you know, every few weeks you're out there weeding lightly your garden. It's a lot less maintenance that way when you have something that's kind of an automated system. So that's one thing to consider with respect to kind of the success of a garden. I think that typically areas of least resistance of where you're requiring less of a person to be out there consistently watering, we're going to have more success, but it's possible to plant a garden in any of those locations as long as they have kind of good access to sunlight, meaning at least 6 hours of sunlight a day, and that they have access to watering. The other thing that I would consider kind of pretty strongly considering kind of my own experience with this garden location is that in Trinidad, we use a lot of the parking spaces quite regularly. And so we have families that are coming in and out and that garden tends to come into, like, it gets a lot of foot traffic. And so we really want to be considerate of, is this allowing people to come in and out of their cars comfortably? And also it's kind of not impeding on people's lifestyle and also not impeding on the growth of the plants. So it's possible, but what I would really consider in kind of any potential project that we might have is doing little pilots, seeing, let's test these in different areas. We might explore different ways of doing it, see how it goes. And then after that, expanding kind of given what we're learning, because it is, it's not without its challenges. And what we want to make sure that we do is that we don't kind of plan 100 sites and then 90 of them don't survive.
Yes, no, for sure. And let me ask you, is it more of a raised bed type of setup? or is it directly in the ground? Like when it's planted?
Depends on whatever we agree to install. So most people put theirs directly in the ground, and the plants tend to thrive a lot better in the actual ground. But we have planted in containers, in pots, in raised beds. I mean, there's a variety of ways that we install our gardens. So it would really be up to the block captain or whichever the committee is to decide what is the most appropriate place to put the plants in, as long as they have 6 hours of sunlight, potential access to water, nothing else that really hampers their growth. Oh, Julie's trying to show a photo of a garden. I think this is a raised bed. Yes, Julie?
Yeah, I didn't mean to.
Oh, cool, cool.
This is like kind of a gardener that went above and beyond. The guy apparently just built this whole bed and filled it with material and stuff. And I don't know if you can see there's a dog in there, but basically part of the idea was they didn't want the dog to get in there. So they had this tiny little Capitol Hill
Yeah.
row house. And it was, I don't know, I just want to show it because it was impressive. But sorry, Josh. But yeah, it kind of depends on the site, right?
And
Yeah.
we do, I mean, our goal is to not create any barriers for people to get the gardens
Yeah.
installed. So we're adaptable. I mean, Umberto's probably done most different types of garden installations. So, and all of us who are block captains also have done the same as far as raised beds, containers, strips of land, the tree boxes, which Umberto has. So we're trying to get as many gardens installed as possible, because the more that we install, the bigger the pathway can be for the pollinators.
Now, does the
Got
watering
it. Got it.
usually, oh, sorry. Does the watering usually need once a day, like everyday watering, or not always, like a couple days times a week, or?
It depends on the how mature the plant is and the time of the year, but generally we would say every other day, watering and kind of deep watering every other day throughout the growing season, which is going to be somewhere around March to November, or maybe actually even a little earlier.
What happens during the winter?
The plants go dormant, and so they're able to remain put, but they still provide plenty of housing for insects. And so we recommend that folks leave their garden in that state because it still provides some important housing, but you don't need to water your plant kind of after mid-November.
And then when
And
do
this
you
is
start
kind
up
of
in the spring?
Sorry, what was that, Shar?
Oh no, go ahead, Anna, and I'll ask my question next.
When does it start up in the spring?
When do you start? Yeah.
Josh and Julie, when do we start seeing things pop up?
Usually around April is when, are you asking when we start planting in the spring, or when do you normally see plants?
When do you start any activity with the garden at all in the spring?
Yeah, probably April is usually a good time. Usually the bees have came out of the stalks of the plants from last year. So that's why we say to leave the leaves or leave the stalks and plants how they are, because 30% of the bees actually make their habitats in the stalks of the old plants. And then 60 to 70% of those bees burrow underground. So in April, normally all their eggs have hatched and the bees are kind of going about their way. And then that would be a time for you to kind of, what we say, tidy up the garden. So you could kind of cut things back close to the ground. And then you'll start to see some of the early bloomers come up, like Coreopsis or phlox. You'll see it on the flower menu, but we place it strategically so that you know that there's going to be certain things that are coming up in the early spring, then summer, and then early fall. So April will be a good time.
Oh, thank you.
And just another question, and I don't know if this is a crazy question. Do the plants get planted as seeds and grow, or are the plants already kind of ballooned and they're there, if that makes sense? Or is it a mix of kind of both?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So maybe I can describe a little bit kind of what the rest of the process looks like, because I think I can provide a few more answers. Once we have the plan for what the gardener needs to do to get their garden ready, then they do some site prep. So they go through that list of all the things that they need to do. Sometimes it's weeding, sometimes it's purchasing gardening equipment like a soaker hose or a timer or anything that they feel that they need in order to get their garden ready. Sometimes it's buying some additional compost or tilling their space. And we provide support with that too, if the gardener needs it, to go out and schedule time to support them in removing anything or whatever that might take. And then we schedule a planting day. And the planting day is where kind of the fun part magic happens. We will have ordered the plants that they had identified in that first garden visit. We get the plants. So DC Natives gets the plants. We take them over to the gardener. We have a team of volunteers that will work with the gardener to plant their plants. These are not seedlings. These are plants that are not fully mature, but they have been started. So they're kind of at a, I don't know, I guess, Julie, Josh, how would you describe this level of maturity of the plant where they are grown enough that they are hardy and have a good chance of making it through, but they're not full size yet.
Baby/teenagers. Just kidding. Yeah, they're in about, sometimes they're in quartz size pots. Yeah. Um, but yeah, you're right. They're not exactly plant. If you check out, if you have access to Instagram, you might see some pictures of us planting. You'll see the size of them. But yeah.
They're usually like in their first year or earlier, and they have enough of a root structure where they're pretty much filling up the capacity of a quart-sized container, or even some of them have been moved into gallon-sized containers. So to answer your question, they're not seeds. That would take a lot of time. And a lot of the plants that we install, the seeds have to be cold stratified, meaning that they have to go through a cycle of a season to simulate the winter. So all the plants that we put in have grown for at least close to a year or less, but they're not super large and they're not super small.
Got it. No, that makes perfect sense to me.
I have a picture from our PowerPoint presentation that I could share actually that shows, so this is what the gardening looks like on the actual day, and this is the size of the plants that we typically plant.
Okay, cool. No, that's really cool.
Yeah,
and,
so the,
and I do have, oh, go ahead, sorry.
so just I was going to explain that our gardening day is usually about an hour-ish that we spend with the gardener planting. We arrange the plants in a way that kind of makes sense with respect to things that grow together, things that the gardener wants to see, kind of a specific space. Sometimes it's, I want this to be in bloom when I'm walking in, or I am interested in covering up this space with something that's this size. And so we'll kind of work to arrange the plants according to what works and what we see for the future. And we give the gardener some instructions as to how to care for their garden. We leave them with a little diagram of what their garden looks like so that they can track it as it grows. And that is the entirety of the process. So after that, they are on their own for taking care of the garden and the maintenance, and we're always kind of available for any extra questions, but that is kind of where the DC Native support concludes at that point.
I just want to go back slightly to your question about vegetable gardening. If you're looking for assistance on someone possibly helping you get vegetable gardens installed, you could reach out to the University of District of Columbia Master Gardener Program, and they always have people that are interested in assisting with helping you with that. So that might be another avenue just in case DPR isn't as able to assist you.
Oh, thank you. That's super valuable. Yeah, because I'm sure some people will want a garden, their garden to be fruits and vegetables, and I'm sure others will probably want just like one, flowers and full of pollinators.
And then another really important thing that I forgot to mention is that we usually do planting in the spring and in the fall. And so those are kind of our two periods where we're concentrated on doing the actual planting. So I believe that's kind of like May-ish and September, October-ish, kind of give or take several weeks.
Oh, great. That's good to
And
know. Go ahead, John.
just to ask 2 questions really quickly. And sorry if I missed it. It is at no cost to folks, right? Like it's solely, I don't want to say totally free, but like, because they'll obviously have to outfit with sprinklers and other items. But just to confirm, it's at no cost to residents. And then another question, just in general, in terms of timeline and process from beginning to end, from kind of first meeting, site visit to kind of completion, what is an expected kind of time frame?
Yeah, so that's right that we provide the plants, we provide mulch, and we support the planting. So the plants are free of cost to the gardener, and they do have to get all their gardening equipment, meaning kind of, like you said, the soaker hose, if they need a splitter, if they need a timer, which is not insignificant, but it's very much reduced given that the bulk of the cost really goes into the plants and obviously the people power to do it, which is all volunteer run. And then with respect to timeline, I actually don't know, and maybe Julie and Josh can share a little bit about how we approach the wait list, but we try to have people kind of either be a spring garden or a fall garden. And from the time that they are connected to a block captain to the time that they actually plant their garden, usually that looks like, I'd say about 2 months. It gives them time for us to have a site visit, to let them know everything that they have to do. They have that time in between to get their garden in order. And then the planting all happens in one day.
So how much would you say like the cost is? In what range, like the startup cost for it for people?
Do you mean like if they had to buy for the materials that we asked them to provide? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of depends. I think the range could be somewhere between 30 and 50 up to 70 or more, depending on if they get a timer and how big their soaker hose is and whether they need a connecting hose and whether they need various parts. So if they needed just 1 or 2 things, it could be 30 to 50. If they need more things, it could probably be up to 70 to maybe even 100. Josh, is that your experience? I've been looking at some of these numbers based on soaker hose being 25 and a lead hose being maybe 10.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of things that we recommend based off our site visit. Sometimes people have some really tedious grass that needs to be stunted back. Like we ask them to get edging sometimes, which is not a requirement, but it's more so to help the gardener not have to weed as much. And also some of the grasses tend to compete pretty heavily with the native plants that are installed. So it's in order to give the native plants the best chance of survival. But yeah, I agree that the cost that Julie mentioned is what I would normally expect from most gardens.
And I think we don't often talk about it, but I think there is, I know for me, when I'm watering more in the summer, my water bill goes up. So that's something that I think a person would want to keep in mind as well. And I was going to mention one other consideration. Josh, were you going to say anything about the water bill, or I thought you were going to say something? No, okay. And then as far as I think Umberto started saying that depending on what the ANC is interested in and like where and what they would like to do, whether it's providing information about us and our regular process, or whether it's some other kind of technical assistance or guidance, or whether the ANC wants to pay for plants for a special project. I mean, I think there's a variety of different ways. There's also different ways of getting plants in the ground, but our traditional kind of, I guess, model that Umberto explained, where you go to the info session, you get assigned to a block captain. We do prioritize areas, Ward 7 and 8, and then areas with a block captain. Umberto right now is our only block captain. Thankful for Umberto, but he also has a full-time job, and so there is some amount of capacity that we have just in terms of how many people we can get through the regular process in a season. So just want to say we try to do as much as we can, but we are sometimes limited each season and how many folks we can get through the process.
Thank you. That's great.
And I know, just from my perspective, a lot of homes, at least on kind of I want to call it the middle of Trinidad side, don't really have like a large front porch area, and they kind of just have sidewalks. But I know like they may want maybe a raised flower bed and things along those lines. Like, I guess we could send out like maybe a poll or something to kind of gauge kind of how many folks are interested, and figure out if maybe we do, I don't know, if we wanted to do maybe like a big kind of walkthrough of Trinidad maybe, and say, hey, do you want this? Like, this is how you get signed up for it, and see how many people kind of follow through with it. We could schedule something like that if it's just a thought of like making sure the word gets out there. Because I know sometimes in our communications, we do have a website, but a lot of people still like ask, what's an ANC? Like, what do you guys do? So it could be a way. I know you already talked about being strapped for resources, so I understand that wholeheartedly. And this could be something that maybe we take on one day, just to kind of walk around and ask folks, maybe on a trash pickup day, just to see if people are interested. But I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I wanted to just say also that if people are interested and you have a large response to your survey of whatever that may be, we also do demonstration gardens on a regular basis, where we will go to a home that is already selected for a garden, and people are invited to come and watch the process. So we basically walk everyone through the entire process of what Umberto just went over. And if like 50 people come, then they'll just show up at a house. We'll show them how to select the site, how to prep their garden, how to install the plants, how to put the soaker hose in, how to put mulch in. So we lead you through the whole process. So if that's something potentially the ANC would be interested in as well, we could do a demonstration series in that area, and everyone that's interested, even if they're not going to get a DC Natives garden, could come and watch the process so that they can take it upon themselves to do it on their own.
Or they could get on the list to, yeah, that's another option too. Absolutely. I like that idea, Josh. The demo garden is a good way to reach people that might be interested. I think your idea, Char, was like a walkthrough, and this is like a little bit more involved. I just want to share something that we do in River Terrace, where we've gotten quite a few DC Natives gardens in my neighborhood, which is River Terrace. Used to be Carver Langston. Love Carver Langston. I was there for 6 years. So, but I moved down the street a little bit. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, in River Terrace, we do a fall garden tour, and so basically, it's really informal.
Okay.
So, and we have River Terrace community organizations kind of under that umbrella, but it's basically really informal. We go and a couple of us kind of organize when we ask people like, who wants to be on the tour? We highlight different people's gardens. Sometimes we just like highlight like, okay, you've gotten permeable pavers, or you've got this kind of garden, you've got this garden. We go to like 5 places, and that homeowner will talk about their garden or what they have. Sometimes it's DC native, sometimes it's not. Super informal. And then we end with like someone who hosts us, and we have like a little informal picnic party in someone's backyard. So that takes a little bit of organizing, but if you guys want to do that in the spring, you could go to some of the gardens that Umberto has helped plant and highlight the DC native ones only, or you could throw in a couple other cool things and just kind of get the word out to people like, hey, let's do a garden tour and look at what's already out there for pollinators in our neighborhood. And if you want to do more, you know, here's a demo garden or here's whatever. So just an idea.
Actually, I love that. And maybe like Umberto, once if you could like, I know we could put this information out, but that would be an amazing kind of start to kind of a spring kind of dive into getting folks in that next wave, because we might have missed this wave for the fall since we're already in October, but I feel like we can get enough folks kind of in the mix for the spring maybe for the next round.
Yeah,
I think so.
definitely.
And it's usually a couple of people. I hate to sign Umberto up for something, but it is kind of fun. It is a good engagement, but usually it takes, and in River Terrace, we have at least like 5 or 6 people that are in the committee that are like trying to do the kind of prep work and stuff. So yeah, maybe it's something that that works with you guys or otherwise. But yeah, happy to share the stuff that we've done in River Terrace too. We have templates and stuff.
And
Yeah,
there is,
definitely send it to us. Yeah.
I feel like we have enough gardens now, DC gardens, DC natives gardens in Trinidad that something like that could work. Like I'm thinking at, you know, including those that we just planted in October, if they're kind of doing well and ready in the spring, that's about 5 gardens. And then there's this plot of this between the sidewalk and the street on Penn and West Virginia that I really recommend you all kind of stop by. I happen to chit chat with a neighbor that takes care of them, and he's just a longtime resident of Trinidad that decided to start a garden kind of in front of his property, asked his neighbors if he could do it in front of their property. And by now it's kind of like a very significant section of the block. And what he grows is just absolutely gorgeous, really, really nice. And I feel like if that could be all of Trinidad, it would be amazing.
That sounds cool. Have you ever guys, just a plug, if you ever walk around like that neighborhood in like Mount Rainier High, it's Mount Rainier and it's behind that Penny Royal restaurant, whatever it is. But if you walk in that neighborhood, like my friend lives over there, it's like, I feel like it's almost every garden is like blasting off, and like that whole neighborhood it has like a big concentration of stuff. So I see your vision. But that's cool.
One thing I would say about the River Terrace walks is that they're also highlighting all the resources that are available to the community that, you know, like solar and permeable pavers that are through other programs, but it's getting the community sharing information so that everyone in that community has access to all the resources that are available from DC government or other environmental organizations.
Yeah, River Smart.
No, that actually, I was just about to ask, is the DOEE, are you all familiar with the rain gardens that DOEE does? The River Smart homes? And have you all like seen them in action? It's something that I just found out about recently. So like, do you all know anything or can provide any information about that program as well?
They have ambassadors. So, Umberto, are you familiar? We have some block captains that are also ambassadors for their program as well. So, we could connect you. I don't think I could speak on their behalf, but they do cool gardens, and sometimes we co-locate, like someone might have a River Smart garden and we do a DC Natives garden. So that is not unusual, but yeah, I can link you guys if you're interested. There's Roderick and Ayana who are both like ambassadors for that program as well.
No, I think that would be super cool too, because maybe there's a mix of, if we do a springtime walk, we can mix DC Natives with the river garden, which I'm sure there's at least maybe 1 or 2 people that have it. So maybe we can have kind of a big culminating kind of walkthrough of kind of both.
And
Yeah.
River Smart doesn't just do gardens, they do rain barrels and permeable pavers and a whole bunch of other things. But we'll connect you with the River Smart ambassadors, and then they can maybe give you their spiel.
Great.
Are there any other questions that we can help address?
I just, I don't have a question. Sorry, I don't want to dominate the time, but, it just popped in my head that you guys have a cool neighbor over there called Jinx Hardware. And I just kind of wonder if there's any kind of partnership or if they could, I don't know if you guys already tap them for things, but they have that cool garden center on the top. And I wonder if they would be, I don't know, some type of partner. I'll leave it there. I'm sure they already
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. We should definitely contact them. We did find out, Jenks is like the oldest hardware store in DC. Yeah, in all DC. It's like amazing. Yeah, and they're still there.
Yeah, and for me, I'm always trying to crack kind of the code on how could we get more plants, because that's really kind of the biggest challenge. Is like if we just had more people growing plants, or then we would be able to plant a lot more gardens. That's the biggest cost to all of this, and whether that is like a partnership with Jenks where maybe we can grow some things in their space, or they can offer some kind of a discount, or even like a plant sharing program with gardeners who already have mature plants that it's like, here, you want some of these, you can take a chunk of my plant and have it for your garden. I feel like that's
Yeah.
the nut to crack.
Absolutely. If you want to write down all your ideas, all of you, and send them to me and Shar, that would be amazing. Like, because we remember some of this, and but like, if you guys just want to write it down and send it to us, I think that would be super helpful.
Sure.
And I will say, Jinx is in my SMB. I need to make a connection with them. That is on my to-do list, just to kind of make that connection. But once I do, I'll definitely circle back to you all just to see kind of if there's any information sharing that I can come up with.
Oh, that would be great, Shar. Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
Well, we appreciate the invitation and glad that now we're a little more in the know of the trash and beautification group and what y'all are doing, and you all are a little bit more familiar with DC Natives, and hopefully this kind of sparks an interesting little something in Trinidad.
Absolutely. And we have this recorded, and we can post it to our chats, and everybody can get all your information. It's really great. It's really, you guys are a great group. You really, it's just so such a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just like a really neat program, and it's just good work.
No, for sure. And
Yeah.
I just want to echo that. Like, you guys do some pretty like amazing work, and like it's actually really cool to know that it's like, it makes planting more accessible than what I ever thought it was. Because I always think of planting and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, but this actually sounds like it is actually doable. So hopefully we can send some people and get them kind of connected with you all. And then hopefully we can do this spring garden fair. That's what I'm going to call it right now. That's what I'm calling it, because we're going to do it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
do think that that's part of the magic of, I was somebody that was pretty intimidated by having my own garden and how to take care of that. And once I started getting into it, realizing like, oh, okay, I got this, and we can expand here, and we can do a little in the backyard, and kind of slowly that continues to evolve as you feel a little more comfortable in the garden.
So when in the spring would be the best time to contact you to start this whole thing up?
Hmm. I would say the earlier the better. So maybe a February start time would give us enough of a runway to really be able to plan accordingly.
Like the beginning or middle of February or the end?
I would err on the side at the beginning.
Okay, great.
Julie, do you know when our next info sessions are for what the question is being asked?
We have the November info session, and let me check my calendar real quick. But we have an info session in November, and we can share that with Umberto to get to folks. Is that the one you meant, the online one?
Yeah, because I mean they're asking like when's the best time to get started, and I think like Umberto said, sooner the better. So if people are interested, they probably should get on the Zoom session or the list.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought they were talking about like a garden tour thing. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was misunderstanding. Sorry about that. Yeah.
So you guys have a waiting list, like, and should people that are interested in working with you get on your waiting list, the sooner the better?
Yes. Yeah.
And
And
just who's, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we have an interest form that we can send you, and then that will get you an invitation to the info session, which will be November 11th at 7 p.m. And can drop it in the chat in just a second, a link to our interest form. Pulling it up right now. So that's what here we go. And we do the let's see. Yeah. We do this actually I don't know if the link is going to come through. Here we go. Okay. If you check the chat, and I guess we can also send this by email as well, but here is here's the link to our interest form. That's kind of like the first step that kicks things off. People fill that out, and then we have a record. So we invite them to the interest session, which again is November 11th. And then that way, because we have their information, we can stay in touch with them, and we can let them know if something had to happen, if we had to cancel it, we would have their information, and without kind of having it out, we'd have some type of way of tracing back to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, there is.
Can you
Yeah.
well, can you email us everything too?
I'm going to do that. I'm going to send this to Umberto to send to you. It has kind of our little, Umberto, I'm going to send you what we have from our email signature from the DC Natives account, which has those things in it that might be helpful. And then you can pass it along if you want to. Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 7 p.m. Okay. Well, it's great meeting you guys. Umberto, I'll send that to you, and I think there's also some information about our upcoming, we're doing some demonstration gardens in Brookland, in the neighborhood of Brookland on November 1st and November 8th. So I'll share that with Umberto too, if you guys want to get the word out. That's open to anyone, it's free. The first session is like how to prep, how to get the weeds out, how to look for weeds. And the second session is putting plants in the ground and showing people like what the plants are, what they do, and how to install soaker hoses. So if people want to get started earlier rather than later, they could certainly come to those events too.
Excellent. That's great.
Well, it's great to meet you guys. I'm going to hop off for another call, but I hope to stay in touch and see you guys around. And happy fall. Thanks, Umberto, for inviting us. It's just super cool. And thanks for talking with us.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you
having us
so
for the
much.
conversation.
Yeah.
I know. Thank you all. Thank you all. This was super cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Char. Thanks,
Yeah.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Be in touch.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Hey, Char, so I guess we should just close the meeting. But let's talk outside the meeting.
Okay,
Because
no, that's
everything-
cool. That's cool. I have a cleanup scheduled for this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah,
9
because everything's
a.m.
being
leaving from the
everything's being. Oh, let me just stop the recording.